Here on location at Osheaga 2024 backstage in the media lounge with the one, the only Nonso Amadi. What's happening, man?
I'm good. How are you doing, man?
It's going great. Hey, I appreciate you making some time today. It's
Thanks for having me.
Beautiful day here in Montreal. What are the vibes so far leading up to your performance?
It's been great. It's been really hot.
Yes.
You know, the weather's great. Better this than winter, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
but yeah, it's been really good.
How do you deal with that though as a performer, going up there trying to keep that stamina, that energy while also dealing with the elements?
I feel like it kind of like just it's part of the game. You kind of have to learn how to manage. Last year we did the December 31st show, the New Year show in Toronto, and it was snowing really heavily while I was performing. Like the snow was entering my nose, my eyes, everything.
Outside?
Well, outside. It was an outdoor show,
wow.
But we still made it work, you know. So yeah, it was. You just have to like try to push through, and you'll be better for it at the end of the day. Yeah.
Now, in terms of your actual prep for your sets, I mean, is it a lot of chilling out during the day? Is it a lot of vocal exercises? Maybe walk us through that preparation process.
So before performing, I like to do as little as possible, right? So I just like to rest, you know, drink tea.
Avoid interviews.
But avoid like any tedious tasks that gets you tired before you go on stage. So that's like me personally. That's what I do. I don't eat. You know, I just like have mostly fluids in my system. Yeah.
Okay, I like that, taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Now, I have a little bit of media here that I wanted to show you.
Sure.
So just take a look at these photos and tell us what comes to mind when you take a look at these photos. Here's number one. That's a good shot, man.
That's a really good shot.
Now,
you know,
big Oilers fan or just in the moment?
You know, I'm a fan of Edmonton. Like I've been out there a couple times, and like, you know, I've made some investments in Edmonton. So like I gotta like rep for the city, you know.
100%.
Even though Toronto wants me, you know.
That's it.
I gotta like be in between both places, you know.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, how would you describe the sort of hype during the playoffs at that time with Edmonton at the forefront? Because I know it's obviously not Canada's team, but during that time, it felt like Oilers were Canada's team to a degree.
To be very honest, like I haven't been the best at following up with the team itself, but I know that there is strong rivalry for who's the actual best in the whole country. Now I got to stand by the Oilers right now, just for now. I'm sorry, Maple Leafs and the rest.
I like it. See, I'm from Edmonton, like I say, so you know. Perfect.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's go to the next one here. What is the first thing that comes to mind when you look at this photo?
Oh, okay. This is huge. This was like, you know, Billboard by Spotify for my album, my first album ever. So it meant a lot to me to see like the support from Spotify.
Yeah.
And you know, there's gonna be bigger things coming, but this was like the start of something new for me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe talk about some of the themes that came up on this record. I mean, obviously purging a lot, and getting, you know, that great musicality in there as well. I mean, talk to me about that balance and how you put it together.
Yeah, I mean, the album for me was like more of a biography type thing where I wanted to get as much out, you know, regarding my story as possible.
100%.
And, you know, this album just like, I wanted it to be more than just like putting songs together. I wanted to feel like you were listening to something that spoke to you about who this person is. And so that was what I was trying to do. And I feel like this album really achieved it, you know?
I completely agree. Last photo for you here, obviously performing with the man himself in the background. What can you tell us about this set?
Okay, this one is I'm performing at Bob Marley's Earth Strong Day. It's a celebration of the life of Bob Marley held annually in Jamaica, and I was invited by the family, the Marleys, to come perform. It means a lot, you know. I got to see his studio. I got to see where he and his people made music and created music. The energy was still very, very strong in there. So it's such an honor to perform at this event. Yeah,
that's incredible. So have you kept in touch with the family since?
Of course. I had his granddaughter Danisha on my album.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of love back and forth. Yeah.
That's incredible. Lots of love back and forth. Now, obviously, speaking of back and forth, Nigeria to Canada.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that you studied chemical engineering. I think anybody who, you know, can do a Google search can ask you about that. But my question really is, you know, you spoke on the fact that your family pushed you to sort of go for that path, correct?
Yeah.
What was it like sort of breaking those chains and then jumping into the music field? What was that sort of like for you personally and family relation-wise?
Honestly, I got to give like most of the credit to like the fans and the listeners, because without them really showing that they loved and supported what I was doing, I wouldn't have been able to make that jump successfully. I was able to go from graduating at McMaster in Hamilton to playing my first show sold out in Lagos with my parents attending because of the listenership and the audience. So I really just have to give them all the credit for that transition, because without it, I wouldn't have been able to do it successfully, like I said.
Man, now you were self-taught. I mean, was that sort of a factor in them maybe being hesitant? Did they maybe hope that you would take lessons if you were going to pursue music?
I honestly, I think they just didn't know much about what was going on with that. They knew that they had spent a lot of money educating me and getting me to have the degrees I had, but they didn't know what this other side was all about. They didn't really hear much about me in that scene until they saw the show and they heard the music on the radio back in Nigeria. That was when they really had some evidence to support them going for it. Yeah.
Now, how would you describe the music scene in Lagos? I mean, is it a lot of independent artists out there that have big buzz there and maybe we don't know them here, or is there a lot of crossover?
It's a bit of both, because there's a lot of young artists, independent artists that are making amazing music, but there's also still a lot of young artists that are doing crossover music, and they're doing crazy things in the States and in the UK. So it's a bit of both. Right now, I think Afrobeats is on a trajectory just like upwards, and that is really blessing the younger guys that are independent, and their music is able to cut across on the playlists and on the festival shows and all that. So it's really good. It's a good time for everyone, really.
Seriously, I mean, it's taken over. What was your sort of first impression to Western music at the time?
I grew up listening to Western music. I grew up listening to Craig David, Alicia Keys, Brandy, Usher. These were the guys that influenced my type of music, which is Afro R&B. It's African music, but it's still R&B. And I give a lot of credit to the GOATs.
For sure. Who do you think is maybe the greatest American R&B artist?
Wow.
That's a real tough one, I know.
That's crazy. I think vocally, I would say Brandy.
Okay, yeah.
I think commercially, I want to say Usher.
Yeah. I mean, still doing the Vegas residencies. Yes. He's still very much relevant. So.
Yes, he just did the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I want to say Usher.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. Now, take me back to 2019. You took a full-on break from social media and posting. Talk to me about sort of taking that break and what led up to that.
It was a cross of different things, but I wanted to take a break just to reassess how I was approaching music, how I was dropping music, and how I wanted to brand myself. But at the same time, COVID hit, so everything slowed down tremendously. Yeah. So I ended up just taking a full year plus to really assess things and slow down and reconnect with family.
Yeah.
Just be human again, because I feel with artists we're so on the go, traveling, performing, recording, so much stuff, and we don't really take the time to appreciate what we have around us. So that was a big turning point for me in my life personally, that influenced a lot of things. Yeah.
So how do you balance being consistent as an artist with sort of taking care of yourself? And I call it responsible usage of the internet, right? Because I mean, we all have to monitor ourselves in that regard.
It starts with how you see music, or how you see whatever. It doesn't even have to be music. Whatever discipline you're in, how do you see it? Do you see it as something that is a do or die affair, where you live and breathe this thing? Without it, your worth and self-value isn't up there. So I had to reassess that relationship, because every time my music did really well, I found that I was super happy and excited. Mm-hmm. But when it didn't do well, those days I was so down.
You went just as low.
It affected everyone around me. So
yeah.
I take a different approach to music now. Music is a talent and a power, a superpower that I have. Whatever it does out there isn't just for me. It touches other people's lives and all that, which is great.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't have the same mass scale, effect I want it to, it's fine, because it's not all of me. It's just something I can do, right? So that's just how I see it. And I'm super grateful to be able to have this platform that I have and everything. But I don't take it so seriously that it burdens my whole being, you know?
It's what you do, it's not who you are, right?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
it's part of who you are, but it's not your entire being, like you're saying.
That's really good.
I totally respect that. Now, let me ask you this. What's one thing you wish you knew about the music business earlier?
I wish I knew that it was 90% business and 10% music.
Oh, that's a big one.
You know, when I started making music, I was so excited because, like, I would listen to my favorite artists on radio and TV, and I would think, like, wow, they're so cool. Like, they're just making the music they love, and they're just having such a great time and enjoying themselves. Not to know that there's so much going on behind the scenes.
Seriously.
Like, there's, even for them to release the music, there's so much money they've spent. There's people that's, like, helping them style, and, like, I didn't know all that stuff. So it slowly revealed itself in that light to me, because when I made my first, you know, global success song, it was just a SoundCloud song. Like, I just put it out there, no money was spent on promo,
and it just happened.
Yeah, it just happened. And then I found that, like, to stay that consistent, you have to, like, now have some capital involved. You have to have some marketing. You know, if you're not relying completely on luck, you have to have that, like, back end. So it was kind of like a bummer, but like, I just, like, you know, that was what led me to get to that break point where I had to, like, take a break, because, you know, a lot of things weren't how I thought it was. So I had to definitely take a break and just, like, reassess it.
A little bit of a recharge.
Exactly.
Last question for you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
In terms of collabs, what are some of the collaborations that really stand out in your mind that you've done looking back? And then maybe to add to that, who is somebody that is still on the bucket list that you'd like to collab with?
I'll say Majid Jordan. Super grateful for having them on the album.
Yeah.
Mr. Easy, who's, like, you know, an African global superstar who's also blessed me with a couple collaborations. I'm super grateful for these collaborations. And then I would love to have Wizkid.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to say Drake and Thames. Those three.
Oh, those would go crazy. I can see it all happening, man. It's coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
Time, Nonso, really appreciate your time,
man. Thank you so much
for
having
much,
me.
dude.
Appreciate it.